Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. This is my second attempt to do this live stream this morning. If you were watching a few minutes ago, you need to know that right in the middle, my battery on the computer died, so I lost everything. So we'll start again from the beginning. We've been looking at Bible stories of forgiveness this week, hoping to learn about them and perhaps to grow in our own understanding of forgiveness and our ability to forgive. The first part of today's story is pretty well known, but I'm not sure you know much about the second part. It was the worst kind of betrayal, and what's worse, he knew it was going to happen before it ever did. Jesus told Peter, "Before the cock crows, you will deny me 3 times." Imagine how that must have felt to Jesus to know that one of your most trusted followers, one who has been with you 3 years and seen the things you have done and heard the things you have said, will deny even knowing you when the chips are down. And then that's just what happened. There in the courtyard of the high priest, Peter denied knowing Jesus or being a follower of Jesus 3 times. And when the cock crowed, the Gospels tell us that Peter realized what he had done and went out and wept bitterly. Now, I think that last part is pretty interesting. Yes, he wept for what he was losing with Jesus on trial, but even more, I think he was weeping because he realized his own betrayal and how he had failed to live up to the image he had of himself. Not only had he let Jesus down, he had let himself down too. Part 2 of the story happens after the resurrection. Jesus meets his disciples in Galilee and they share a breakfast of fish over a charcoal fire. After the meal, Jesus asks Peter a question. He doesn't ask this of any of the others, only Peter. "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" And Peter replied, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And to that, Jesus replied, "Tend my sheep." I picture Peter a little confused by the question at this point, but then Jesus asks him the exact same question again. And again, Peter answers with similar words. And then Jesus asks it the same way one more time. And the gospel has a very telling line right there before Peter answers. It says, Peter felt hurt because he asked him the 3rd time. And you see right there, we realize what Peter realized. The sin of his denial of Jesus that he thought was secret and hidden from Jesus was known all along. Jesus knew what he had done. And still, Jesus loved him. And so Peter answered, "Lord, you know everything. You know how weak and frail I am and how I betrayed you. Yes, I love you." There's a lot of grace in this story. Like Peter, we deny Jesus often. Anytime we choose self over Jesus, we are denying him. And yet Jesus still loves us. And Jesus dies for us. And Jesus saves us. Our sin isn't hidden. It's known. And still we are loved. But more, did you notice how Peter denied Jesus 3 times, and then Jesus asked Peter for a recommitment 3 times? It's almost as if Jesus is helping Peter forgive himself. That's more of a problem than most of us want to admit. For many, it's easier to forgive others than to forgive oneself. We hold on to pasts that haunt us, and we can't let go of them. And maybe part of what this story is about is to let us know that we are forgiven and loved by God, and we can let go of our sinful pasts. We have a Savior who welcomes us with open arms of love. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.